not have it so you're sick for a long period of time. Usually it takes a few days because
Welcome to the Brains Uses Podcast.
that was just a
Brains Uses Podcast. Currently #1 in the world. On Spotify.
Number 1 on Spotify. Look us up. It's called the Fortnite Bros
I hate forgetting
XD. So we're going to be talking about the brain's functions, what it does,
With Mr. Brigham.
with Mr. Brigham,
Extremely honored
Brigham.
guest.
Brigham Palmer Peterson. Look him up. His social security number is and then we start out. Where do we want to start?
Nick will be our topic guide for today.
maybe we can do like left part or back part of the brain.
Where do you start at? What do you want to start with? What's the lowest part of the brain stem?
I would assume the pons, but I haven't done that much research. I haven't studied the brain for
Nick's
12
gotten
hours.
a little fuzzy, so
Okay, maybe we should say what the brainstem does and its function first, because who cares what the lowest part is? That's just me though.
Yeah.
brainstem is mostly for like
Stuff.
sensories in your body, involuntarily sensories. So like, for example,
Well, sending them, yeah.
For example, the very bottom of the brainstem, the medulla oblongata, whatever it's called, what that does is it controls involuntarily things in our body, like breathing, our heart pumping, coughing, just involuntarily throwing up. The same thing. Yeah.
Habitual
So we're starting.
like genetically
It seems like
natural reaction.
Nick knows about the pawns here somewhere.
I don't know about the pons.
Pawns and chess, basically what they can do is for the first move they can move twice.
Yeah, this is Chess Grandmaster Brigham Palmer Peterson.
My score, my what is it called?
Elo.
My elo is like 3600, so
Yeah. So what I've written down is that the pons links the brain to the spine, which is good because like your brain works.
yeah, it's
Pawns are, I mean, obviously everything in the brain is useful, but we're in a little more of a fuzzier gray area. Pawns are pretty much like, it's basically just another relay center to like move information around, you know? So but they do definitely contribute into facial facial sensories, so like the sensations in your face, facial movement, like stuff like that too.
Yeah, see, bud, I'm sorry to cut you off here, but Grandmaster Google says something otherwise.
Oh, no, one second.
Yeah,
My
it said,
grandmaster Google.
Your pons is a part of your brainstem, a structure that links your brain to your spinal cord.
No,
It
the
holds-
brain stem is the structure that links to your spine.
It handles unconscious processes and jobs
Yeah,
such as your sleep wake cycle and breathing. It contains several junction points that for the nerves that control muscle and carry information from senses
Let's
in
hit
your
images.
hand and
Let's
face.
go to images for Googles. Let's go.
also ligands, specifically neurotransmitters, are what deliver messages to certain parts of the body too.
No. Let me see. See, what is that?
That's the spinal cord.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Do I get the facts straight?
Yeah, your facts were wrong.
They were right. What do you mean?
Bandit is currently licking a nerve.
One thing I
dart.
forgot about pawns is they also control your sleep-wake cycle.
Okay.
Yeah, which is unconscious behavior such as breathing and heart pumping and
That's the medulla.
Also, an interesting thing is when you are lucid dreaming.
They move that information around.
When you're lucid dreaming, your sleep, your ability to like process stuff and like heal in your sleep actually is kind of like lessened, because when you're lucid dreaming, you're actively processing things in your head, so it kind of interrupts your sleep a little bit.
it's pretty baller. Pretty baller statement.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the medulla is pretty cool. Connects the spinal cord.
That material is pretty cool. You have one.
Yeah, you have one.
We all have one.
We all have one. It's that good.
It's
Yeah,
so cool.
what
Even your mom
what
has
he
one.
was saying, he was correct. Kill yourself, by the way. I have love and respect. Well, let's do some research
What
about
am
the
I saying?
thalamus. What do you know about the thalamus right now?
The thalamus. The thalamus is actually not a part of a brainstem. It's above the brainstem, more in the center of the brain, where the temporal lobe is. The thalamus,
Temporal.
the thalamus, let's say, is like the conductor of everything. It basically takes all these sensories you're getting from the brainstem, and it's telling them where to go in the cerebral cortex, which is
Isn't it the ball sack looking thing? It's kind of like.
it's like the very center.
Oh, the
The
center?
ball sack thing is a pituitary gland.
Um. Ah. See.
Brain.
Okay.
Now moving on from the
I think it also directs hormones too. I don't remember.
brainstem,
Directs hormones to the pituitary gland.
the hypothalamus.
I know the endocrine system.
Hypothalamus.
Hypothalamus.
Yeah, I think that does circulate hormones. I'm
I
pretty sure.
don't know.
Which are another form of ligands, by the way.
Nick, Brigham, how do you feel about all these sensories in the brain so far?
All these sensories.
Yeah, like what do you think it would be like if we didn't have some of these things in the brainstem? Like the,
Well, some people do have.
if we did not have our, if we
those
did not
are
have our,
organs.
just if we just didn't have a brainstem.
If we didn't have a brainstem,
We just be brains.
well,
floating.
yeah.
Do you think we'd be just disconnected from our spinal cord?
Yeah, that'd probably impair us quite a bit.
And maybe like one of the things we talked about is one of the medulla oblongata also controlled like our heart beating. And our breathing.
Yeah, it's kind of useful.
That's a little bit
It's
useful.
we can live without it.
Yeah, for sure. And the hypothalamus, to veer us back on course, it is in charge of maintaining the body's homeostasis, which is pretty groovy. Do you want to explain what homeostasis is? Mr.?
Homeostasis is maintaining or dynamic homeostasis. I just like it. Homeostasis or dynamic homeostasis, which basically it's dynamic homeostasis because we're always moving and changing, is basically keeping balance between all things so that nothing goes too far to one side or the other and causes entropy or natural chaos in the body, in this case in the brain.
I feel like I'm missing a lot. I don't
Yeah.
remember the time.
And it also like manages hormones and many conditions could damage the hypothalamus, which is not great because it's kind of important.
I assume if you have a tumor in your hypothalamus and managing your hormones or your pituitary gland, those people who get like freakishly tall, I think that would be that in the hypothalamus.
I don't think it would affect growth.
Well,
Yeah.
depending on if you were like still growing and like a young.
You get a tumor.
Yeah,
If anything, that would make you like it wouldn't make you.
No,
taller.
it gives you an influx of
Yeah,
way
but
too much hormones for
Yeah,
control.
it doesn't.
That's how
doesn't
people
control.
become like 9 feet, 8 feet tall is because they have a tumor in the brain. Nobody is naturally that tall, period.
Mm,
Like, there's no way. The highest person we've ever recorded without a tumor, I think, is like 7'2".
well,
Or 7'4".
mutations are always possible, but yeah, I don't know.
I mean, those are mutations.
Yeah, mutations. The mutations, Batman.
The mutations.
Normally, when you pet, for example,
No.
a dog or a cat, you get oxytocin. But since Bandit sucks, I'm not getting any oxytocin from him being here.
Not sure if we really talked about where it was, but it's pretty much underneath the. What was the thing we were talking about again? Hypo. Yeah, it's pretty much under. It's below the actual thalamus, too. It's in the temporal lobes. Temporal lobe. Yep.
And what do you know about the hippocampus? So far?
I know a lot about the hippocampus actually. The hippocampus is definitely very important because the hippocampus.
Campus?
Yeah.
Hippocampus.
Hippocampus is pretty much. Hippocampus is like a little bit like the hard drive of our brain. It basically will convert a short-term memory into a long-term memory. It also helps with our navigation, our spatial awareness of where we are.
Yeah.
Which
Breaking
a
down.
lot of things do that.
Breaking down the word hippo and campus, it's basically like literally what it means because hippo's like a lot.
Yeah, which is also in the temple.
thing.
It's below the
Campus, I guess, is just a place.
So
So basically, information center. So yeah,
how do you
cool.
Yeah, how do you feel if we just didn't have one of those, like a typical campus?
Well, then we would probably all not be able to process a lot of information
Like on the member
or
or
remember
something.
anything.
Yeah,
Like,
we
that's
will-
what short-term memory loss is.
Yeah,
Lack
probably.
of-
It's probably what dementia is. We probably get something wrong with the hippocampus.
How do you feel about cellular respiration?
Cellular respiration.
So what do you know about the amygdala, Brigham?
The amygdala is basically kind of like your emotions and also it's another part of the endocrine system which can produce adrenaline or epinephrine or something like that when you are stressed and it can activate the fight or flight response.
Yeah, he definitely hit the big mark there. Emotions. Amygdala is mostly used for emotions, the processing of emotions, and most especially fear and pleasure.
Yeah.
Also,
And our temporal lobe.
maybe I
Fight or
should
flight responses.
Fight or flight response.
I'll just say generally addiction can kind of screw over your amygdala. It can actually deteriorate it, like physically, so that
Yeah.
sucks.
Definitely. If you're addicted to a drug to get happy,
Yeah.
I would definitely agree.
Physical drug or a hormone that's produced in the brain.
We're talking about fight or so knowing on what you know about like it controls fear as well. We're talking about fight or flight responses now.
I'm gonna destroy your amygdala.
Okay. Also, I was thinking about this. I think it's cool how literally just seeing something can cause us like pain. It can actually cause a heart attack as well. It can cause like it's kind of like a form of telekinesis if you think about it. You can like actually damage something by just if you see something scary, it can like. Normally, all it does is just
Yeah.
act fight or fight or flight. But yeah,
Fight.
yeah. Pretty wacky.
Cerebellum. Moving on.
And not the John Wick movie. That's cerebellum.
Your cerebellum is the part that is coordinated and. Welcome back. Okay. Wide range of functions processes in both your
Cool.
brain and body. And yeah, it holds up to more than half of your neurons, which is pretty crazy. In your entire body.
I can't remember the second half of the name of the lobe that is right below under it. It's it's OCC, occipital,
Optical lobe?
Occipital.
Optical lobe, or whatever
Pretty
the
much.
optical thing is
Maybe.
near the back of your head.
He's right. That's where it is. So cerebellum is below that, next to the brainstem. And fun fact, one of the main functions of the cerebellum is our finite motor skills. It's not just motor skills alone, but say we throw ourselves forwards or we try to hold an egg. So instead of just doing that and closing it immediately, and we can hold the egg without thinking. When we're not thinking about it, our cerebellum tells us how finite, how much we just have to enclose our hands.
Specific and precise increments.
So our movements would be very like we just throw ourselves forward.
sloppy, and we probably wouldn't be as good as at walking and stuff like that.
Probably we'll be able to walk that sort of.
Yeah, moving on. The motor cortex, which is very similar to cerebellum. Would you like to explain?
I think you can explain this one. I explained last time. We just talked about how the movements are very finite for the cerebellum. So what does that mean for the motor cortex?
The motor cortex creates impulses that causes voluntary muscle contractions, which the cerebellum is like how much, and motor cortex is more like where.
Yeah. So just moving. The motor cortex is like to tell you to move in the first place.
Yeah, motor cortex. Is
Motor
more
cortex,
like,
you couldn't move, and without cerebellum, we couldn't be fine. We could be finite with our movement.
like the more direct,
Yeah.
straight, just what you need to do, not so much how much or how precise or whatever. It's just like move your leg and it moves,
Yeah.
instead of like move it 14 inches off the ground.
Yeah. What else did we talk about? So
Do you know anything about the
Broncas.
Broca's area?
The Broca's area. I know jack shit about the Broca's area. I don't think I've ever heard that.
Pretty sure Broca's area is used for just so basically it's used for visual and speech, but not the way of processing for that information. So it's like moving our lips up and down. That's it. Opening our eyes to see things around us. That's Broca's area, and then to build off that, what actually is that? It's the Wernicke's. The Wernicke's area, which is actually not in the frontal lobe like the other two are. This is in the temporal lobe. This is in the temporal lobe, and yeah, it's basically language. It's like you actually can process the sound, like you can do actual speech.
Probably links with the memory and stuff too, and
Yeah,
recognizing.
it pulls it back from memory.
Yeah.
That's why. And do you know like, and what else is in the temporal lobe that controls memory?
Is it like memory of sensations?
No, just memory.
Or
Just
just memory?
memory to long term, short term, long term. It was a hippocampus, remember?
Just like
So like if this takes something from memory, it's gonna be close to that hippocampus. It's in the same lobe.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The left and right hemispheres. Do you want to take the left and you take the right? Or do you want to take the right and you take the left?
I'm a god turret left, so you can do right.
okay, because the right is probably easier to describe.
Go for right.
All right, I'm just gonna do a basic overview because I really do not know that much about like intricately specifics or whatever. But basically, the right cortex is more of not like logical and thinking about like things that you should do or like planning and stuff like that. It's more like it probably has to do more of like wants, but mainly it's like more creativity and thinking of things that aren't really rules. It's thinking of like what could happen or like other things that I guess just like outcomes and stuff, and just coming up with new things that could build on other things or just like stuff that hasn't been processed.
What do you think there's a big E that you're missing now. A big E.
I couldn't tell you.
Make decisions based on creativity, and creativity can be derivative of emotion.
Yeah, emotion. Linked to emotion.
He's basically saying
Amygdala.
like, he's basically saying like more of
Alright.
more of the stuff is emotion. The emotion side. Me,
emotion driven.
left hemisphere, my superior hemisphere. It pretty much it's pretty much critical thinking, analytical thinking, and logical thinking, rationality, all that sorts of stuff. Being efficient with what you have. Thinking a lot more rationally, logically, planning ahead. Instead of just going with the flow of things, thinking more intricately in that sense. Yeah.
The next topic is corpus callosum.
Yup, that's it. Corpus callosum is a bundle of nerves connecting the two hemispheres together to communicate with each other and exchange information.
So that you can think with your entire brain instead of just one side or the other, or like separately.
Which feels like quizzes online.
And that's what happens when people's brains, they like split at the corpus and kind of like their individual hands work independent of each other, and they don't.
It's also the same thing like classic, like you're thinking rationally about something. Oh, my dad died. How do I feel about this? First side, left side, and then the second part is like that.
Yeah, that's the end of that list.
I feel like we still missed at least 3 parts, but I don't remember.
Maybe, I don't know.
It's all I have Google Doc. It's on my phone.
We didn't really cover like communication.
Yeah, but like that's more in the Broncos.
I mean, I don't even know the exact some specific locations of some of the. Like,
I don't.
We're done.
I guess we could say like it could have to do communication just in general. Well, maybe not communication, but when people are with other people, conformity, which is basically like acting based on how others are acting and kind of like fitting in, could relate to the left hemisphere because you're kind of just seeing what the pattern is, seeing what you should do, seeing what is kind of what doesn't cause like something else to happen. What kind of just goes with what you can like predict what's going to happen, and you're just kind of going with a reliable source rather than just acting like completely different.
Honestly, Teach, you probably have already stopped watching because you've heard what you need to hear. But I believe that humans can survive without an amygdala. Well, one of the main factors of that amygdala, of that opinion about that is fear. You know, if you didn't have fear, you would die pretty fast. Like, if you had zero fear, you would die.
I don't even know like what that would look like. A person just with no emotion at all. You wouldn't have any drive to do anything. You
I
wouldn't.
believe
not really.
that's what a psychopath is.
No, a psychopath does typically, like statistically, a psychopath does have a smaller amygdala, but it's mainly
It's definitely
more
just
like
it's definitely more messed up feeling of emotions and
They-
messed up rationality.
yeah, and they don't have
Like
like sympathy really.
Yeah, I was
They
thinking
do
more like
have-
the literal term of psychopath is
Yeah.
not feeling emotions towards things or people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think not feeling emotions would make it
I mean-
much better.
Not serial killers. What I meant. Serial killers typically have smaller amygdalas.
But there are
Very
definitely
different.
some things, like for example, like your mother. If you didn't feel emotion towards your mother, that would be pretty sad. You know?
It wouldn't be though.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be sad. Exactly. But I think if humans, these virtually almost every single opinion ever made within like current society is based off emotion. Every single you go to
At least a little bit of.
But
emotion.
everything has
every single
some
belief
emotion.
you have,
There's
every
lit-
single political area
Yeah.
you're in, it should be the way you feel about it. Like you believe this, it makes more sense than this, or this is better than this, mostly because of emotion. Because and you maybe don't have the willingness, willing to be as understanding. Like that's why there are some. I think having an AI leader would be awesome, in my opinion.
I don't know about
Something. It's like I think Thanos was in the right. Utopia.
Yeah, we don't need to get into
Yeah.
this again.
Yeah.
Thank you
But
to
yeah.
You agreed on
Brigham Palmer Peterson for joining us on this podcast.
Yeah.
Get wrecked.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Biological.
and say what's up to my co-host Tyler and me.
Yep. And
Get tired.
yep. That's it. Bye.